unless you have a money mindset, you're never going to be wealthy. What is the money mindset?
The mindset is, number one, you have to believe that you're going to become wealthy. What I like to say is you have to say, I will become wealthy.
Why?
Because if you don't believe you're going to become wealthy, it is going to be impossible for you.
Why?
I used to guest teach in Detroit public schools. So Detroit is it was a very rough, and it still is, rough area. Certain parts of it. Our office is in downtown Detroit, but there are parts of Detroit which are still very rough. And I used to guest teach in some of the public schools there. And these are kids, good kids, who were not exposed to some of the best things. And what I mean by that is when I would go into these classrooms, you'd first have to go through multiple metal detectors. There'd be police there. You might have to be pat down. And when I get into the classroom, I'd ask the kids, how many of you have two parents in the home? Almost nobody would raise their hand. I would then ask, how many of you work a job? Almost everybody would raise their hand. And as I got to know the students better, I also started to realize that these kids, high school kids, some of them are already in gangs. Some of them already have been arrested by the police. Some have already been involved in these, what we consider bad things, and they are bad things. But to the kids, that's just normal. Because when I talk to them about these gangs, what they'll tell me is, I don't have parents at home. I don't have a dad. I don't know my dad. My mom is working. How am I going to eat? My brothers, this gang, provide me some comfort because there's people that are around me. They give me food. They help give me money. It's not a bad thing in their eyes. And so when you grow up in that mindset, it's very hard for you to think bigger. And so when I would come into these classrooms, I would talk about life, motivation, money, all things. And so one of the things that I like to do, an exercise that I would do, is try to get you to think about successful things. What are things that kids want? A nice car. So I would ask these kids, what is your dream car? And the responses that I would get were things like a Ford Mustang or a Dodge Challenger. And, these nice cars, but I would follow up with, why not a Bugatti? Why not a Lamborghini? Why not a Rolls Royce? And they would say, somebody like me can never have something like that. So I can't even dream about having these nice things. And that was really shocking to me. If you're enjoying this video and want to take your investing to the next level, I want to remind you that I put together a free investing masterclass where I walk you through how you can get started as an investor and find hidden investment opportunities before everybody else. It's a completely free masterclass, and when you register, you'll also get access to market briefs, which is my newsletter for investors, completely free, complimentary as a bonus. So if you want to get the investing masterclass and market briefs all for free, all you have to do is click the link down in the description below to get it. That you are kind of suppressed to the point where not only do you not think that you can achieve it, but you can't even dream that you can achieve it. You can't even achieve it in your own dreams. And so when you don't believe that you are worthy of anything more than a Ford Mustang, how in the world are you going to work for something nicer? And I'm not saying you have to work just for materialistic things, but this is that mindset shift that if you don't believe that you can do it, you are never going to be able to do it. And so this is where the first thing is, you have to say, I will become wealthy. And sometimes you have to be able to find a taste of success and see what that looks like. And there are many ways to go about doing it. You can just go onto Instagram and see what success looks like to some people. But you start to define what is that success and tell yourself, I will become wealthy. Not that I might, not that I can, but I will become wealthy.
It's so interesting what you're saying about those kids. So interesting, because I was thinking as you were speaking about stereotype threats, and in my previous book, I spent some time talking about self-belief and confidence and this idea of stereotype threats. And some of the studies I came across showed that if there's a stereotype that people like you, let's say black people like me, are bad at a certain thing, let's say maths, before they do a math test, if they reminded a black person that they were black, just got them to tick a box saying that they were black, their performance on that test would drop. And they did the same with women. So if there's a stereotype surrounding your ability in something, if they remind you of that part of you before you do a test, your performance drops. And really importantly, in the studies, when they don't remind the black person or the woman about that particular feature of themselves, their performance is the same as everybody else.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that you say that when you're talking about money, that we have a stereotype threat there. We exist in a world where we think people like us make a certain amount of money. And if the stereotype threat studies are true, that means that I'm going to show up in the world in such a way that's going to bring that amount of money about. But it's not easy to genuinely believe outside of your stereotype.
100%.
Outside of the context in which you were raised. I went undercover in a school in a rough area in Liverpool that was doing very poorly. And I was undercover as a school teacher. So I was getting to know the kids. And I met this one kid. And I remember him saying to me about his plans for the future. And I sat there and I said, do you know any millionaires? He was like, no, there's no millionaires around here. I was like, have you ever met one? He goes, I've never ever met one. And in that moment, his mum, which it's on video, it was a Channel 4 documentary I did. He then goes, but I think I want to be a millionaire. And his mum burst out laughing. She was on the sofa next to him and she burst out laughing. And I remember asking her on camera saying, why are you laughing? And she goes, no, there's no chance. So it's like indoctrinated into your context, your family, your roots, your friendship networks that you can't make it. So it's hard.
It is 100% difficult. And it doesn't stop in any level. If, for example, when I told my parents that I didn't want to be a doctor, I was told by everybody, I'm throwing my parents' sacrifice away. And that somebody like me can never make it in business because I don't know anything about business. No one in my family is a business person. No one in my family is an investor. No one in my family does this. You never learned this stuff before. You didn't get into business school. How are you going to do this? And I'm not saying this to compare. I'm saying this to explain that there are so many levels to this mindset block that if you cannot break out of this invisible barrier, you will never become successful. When any employee joins my team, the first day we make every employee, every single one, regardless of a role, do this exercise. It's called the 9 dots exercise. And you have these 9 dots on the screen. And if you go to Google, you can see the 9 dots exercise or 9 dots trivia, where it's 9 dots.
We'll put it on the screen.
Yes. And I'm not going to spoil it, but I will, actually. That's the only way I can get it across. But the way that this exercise works is you have to, in 4 lines, touch every dot on the screen without picking up your pen. You have to touch every dot, all of these 9 dots, without picking up your pen. And so when you do that, you might say, well, it's impossible. How do you do that? And so this is where now...
Oh, okay, not going over a previous line.
Right, you can go over a previous line, but you cannot pick up your pen. So if there's 9 dots, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Yeah.
You have to connect all 9 dots with 4 lines. You can't curve the pen and you can't pick up your pen. And people will say, this is impossible. And the reason why you say it's impossible is because you have just created an invisible barrier. Because now if you go outside of the box, if you extend the pen a little bit further, then you can start to connect all of these dots. And now you realize, oh, it is possible if I don't create these invisible walls around myself, if I don't put myself in this invisible box. And that's what we do. We're all conditioned to do this to some extent. If you grew up in poverty, it might be that you can never become any level of successful. If you grew up thinking that you're going to be this thing, it might be that you can never start a business. You can never become an investor. If you have become an engineer and now in your 30s you want to go out and do something different, it might be that somebody like you can never do something different. But these are all invisible boxes. You see it right there. And that's why we make every team member, every employee do that on the first day, because what we say is, look, we've got to come here and innovate. And if you want to be able to innovate and do something big, you have to get out of your own mind and you have to be able to break out of these invisible barriers. If you enjoyed this clip and you want to continue your financial education journey, I have another video that I think you'll love. All you got to do is click that button right over there. And for those of you who want to stay up to date on the top finance and business news, you can join Market Briefs, my free financial newsletter, by clicking that button below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.